I 25F called the cops on my spouse 28M last night and now I don't know how to fix it. So last night, I went out to dinner and then a few drinks with my friend. I came home afterwards and my boyfriend of 8.5 years had had a few beers too. Which was fine. We were both in a good mood, everything was great. I gave him my leftovers from dinner and he ate them and was very giddy and grateful. Fast forward about an hour. We were listening to music still and the volume had been at a reasonable volume, but one of his favorite songs came on and he wanted to blast it up. Out of respect for my neighbors who have kids in the same building, I tried to reason with him to keep it a bit lower, but still a louder volume than what we had been listening up to point. He kept insisting and would not back down. He tried to grab the remote out of my hands and neither of us was letting go. We struggled for about a minute, at which point I grabbed his thumb to pry his hand off the remote. And I held onto it with a good amount of force for a few seconds more, moving his hand away from me. While I still had his thumb in my grip, he hit me in the jaw and that's when I let go. He said I tried to break his thumb and that this was a defensive hit, and then tried to continue reaching for the remote again. He was not touching me at this point, but I warned him if he didn't calm down and back off that I would call 911. He said again that it was self-defense and I wouldn't do it. So I dialed 911 and showed him before pressing the talk button. He again said, "Go ahead, you're not gonna do it," and then reached at my phone to press the talk button himself. And I backed my phone away from him, surprised for a moment, but then just decided to hit the button and go ahead with the call. The cops showed up while I was still talking with dispatch and we went over the incident outside, while other officers went in to arrest him for assault. After giving my statement at the station and going over everything, I then realized that he was actually going to have to go to court for this, and I've basically been crying on and off ever since. No incident like this has ever happened before with us. He has been under some stress with work this past week and he has a short temper when drinking, but never gets violent with me or anyone when he's drunk. He doesn't even throw stuff around or break things either. Just gets into arguments a bit more easily. I don't want this to end up giving him a record and mess up the rest of his life in terms of jail time, or even just making it difficult for him to get employment because of this one incident. Where yes, he hit me, but I'm not really injured, just shocked honestly. And now there's a no contact order on him until his court date, that's a month from now. I honestly just want him to come home so we can talk things through, but because this is considered assault, our entire relationship is up in the air right now and I hate it so much. I wish last night had never happened. We live in Ontario, Canada. BTW. Does anyone know how I could get the Crown to drop the charges or at least drop the no contact order? Just for the record, I don't think the super inconsiderate guy who wants to blast music regardless of the neighbors is the sweetest guy ever. Nor is the guy who ignores your opinion about being polite, or the guy who then physically tries to wrestle the remote out of your hands. Then there's the guy that punches you in the face when he loses said wrestling match. Not the sweetest guy ever. It seems like you probably have rose-colored glasses on. I suggest you take the month of no contact to truly reflect on the relationship and be honest about how healthy it is for you. The first time is always an accident, babe. You can't say he never gets violent with you. He punched you in the face. He gets violent with you. This wasn't a one-time thing, this was the first time. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you'd be wrong to want him back at this point. If you want to drop charges, that's your decision. But he showed no remorse and instead was mocking you, thinking you wouldn't call the cops on him. And if you take him back, he will use this situation against you to mock you even more. I hope you make the right decision, but I don't see you taking him back and apologizing to him for Hitting you is the right call. Honey, you called the cops for a reason. You knew something was wrong. It wasn't a snap judgment. As you explained it, you had time to pull back but chose not to listen to that part of yourself here and now. This sounds so scarily like my mom and sperm donor's relationship, but sad thing was she didn't call the cops. He had a short temper, especially when stressed too. The first instance he had a few, they were arguing over something small, a shirt he said he hated but she loved. Tug-of-war started, she tried prying his hand off, then he punched her in the face. Never was physical with her before. She brushed it off as a one-off. He had a few. Stress from work, blah blah blah. Well, a few months later again. This time he chalked and punched her. Again and again after a varying amount of time. Then he turned on me. I was trying to pull him off of her. He had repeatedly smashed her head into a wall, kicking her on the ground, holding her on the ground while punching her in the face. He grabbed me, 3-year-old girl, by the neck and threw me into the wall. I bounced off the wall and head landed on the side of the desk. I ended up blacking out. After that my mom tried to run away with me. She had broken ribs, jaw, internal bleeding. He ended up chasing her down with a shotgun. But it all was peachy and roses. He loves me. And is so sweet and remorseful, not always bad. Stress, short temper, excuses from her. Run away from this man and do not have a child with him. He hit you once. Do not ever let him get another chance to do it. I'm not being over dramatic when I say he could kill you one day. Domestic violence always escalates. Every time. Right now this is the only time your boyfriend has hit you. If you end up back with him, this will become the first time he hit you. This is a test to see if you will be okay with him hitting you. He's starting to show who he is. Walk away. If you take him back, he will hit you again. Read that again till it sinks in. He hit you in the jaw. He could have broken you face. He will escalate. Please prioritize your safety and mental health. Good luck. He punched you in the face. His short temper while drinking has now progressed to physical violence, and this is now a very slippery slope. If he is truly remorseful and takes meaningful action to ensure it doesn't happen again, then maybe this relationship has a chance. Meaningful action being addressing his alcohol intake and anger issues with therapy. Not just, I'm so sorry it won't happen again. Then things are good for a few weeks until they revert back to the same old. Because now you're in the cycle of abuse, and that's dangerous and terrible. He needs to fix this. Not you. So instead of him being concerned about hitting you, how you were feeling, he was more concerned about defending why he did it. That does not make someone a good guy. Yeah, something definitely changed with him. First, the fact he wouldn't back down over cranking the volume even though he knew it would be problematic. Then getting physical with the remote and it escalating to the punch. That never used to be him, but maybe it always was and was repressed. Only a few beers and it came out. Maybe it was something at work? Maybe it was something at home? As people have said, it's more likely to get worse than better. You probably saved your own life. Just because he had never done it before doesn't mean since he's done it once now he'll do it again. Most likely, he's going to use his stress as an excuse and say you made him do it. Which is total BS. You should take this as a great sign and definitely don't break the no contact order. I believe it'll get both of you in trouble, maybe you more than him if you encourage him to come see you. I don't know Canadian law. They could just drop the charges after a short while, or they might go all the way with it. Odds are it'll be a slap on the wrist, since I presume he doesn't have a criminal record. But I definitely would not try to have the charges dropped because that's just the beginning, and now he knows he can hit you whenever and you're not going to do anything about it. Glad your BF isn't my neighbor. He sounds like an asshole. You call this a blip in the comments. But hitting someone in the jaw really isn't a blip, is it? And as soon as he hit you, he blamed you. A blip? No. You no longer have a relationship with him. Yes, this will follow him the rest of his life. So let me get this straight, your boyfriend punched you in the face over turning his music down? Then when you asked him to calm down or else you'd call the cops, his response is to mock and instigate you, then gets mad when you actually do it. Why do you still want to be with this man? He sounds like a terrible person. Also, if you take him back, that just lets him know that he can punch you in the face again. Or worse. And you're not going to leave him. Have some self-respect and leave this man.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.